Hi veggie lovers, I'm Amelia.
And I'm JP.
And we're vegans abroad.
Hola.
Hola.
Today we're going to talk about my long-term battle with high cholesterol, even as a vegan eating a whole food plant-based diet. This video is kind of inspired by the nut wars that's been going on between Jeff Nelson at VegSource and Dr. Fuhrman, and their review of the science and how it's still not settled on whether nuts are really healthy for us heart disease prone people. So we wanted to talk about that in this video.
Before we get started, we wanted to remind you that we post our videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern, and we do stick around for about an hour afterwards to answer any questions, respond to comments. Cosas así. So please subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified on our upcoming videos.
Part of my ongoing battle with high cholesterol, I get my blood work done regularly, and it's really easy here in Cuenca. So we're going to start by showing you how to get your blood tests done here. We got our blood test done, checking our cholesterol. Amelia doesn't have much of a problem with it like I do, but I made her.
JP made me.
I made her come anyway, and man, she has been crabby. Man,
I haven't been that bad. You don't know bad, Stone Street. I could have been a lot worse.
I don't know, man. It's been pretty rough this morning.
Oh, shut up.
And she even drank coffee. I skipped the coffee because that could interfere with the test for people like me who are really sensitive. So I skipped the coffee. But Amelia didn't. I did not want to say you couldn't have coffee after.
That was a wise move.
She was.
Especially when this is not doctor requested.
I thought she was going to rip my head off this morning.
Well, I also wasn't ready to get up.
I know. I know you weren't.
Oh, well.
I know.
But I'm in a much better mood now because it's done.
It's super easy. It's fast, and it didn't take very long at all. We had to wait about 10 minutes, I think, for the people in front of us. And it took her about 10 minutes to do both of us.
And it was only $15 just for the cholesterol. I think when you got the whole panel done, it was like $80.
Yeah, I did a whole panel before, but this was total cholesterol, HDL, LDL, and triglycerides. Right. Because those are the things I have issues with. So we went ahead and just got all those. It was $15.
All right, watch where we're walking.
All right, now we're gonna head home and eat some breakfast.
And finish coffee.
Amelia's coffee.
As you can see, veggie lovers, JP likes to drag me along and make me get my blood work done, even though I'm not too concerned about my cholesterol. But I will say it is important to get it checked once in a while.
And hers is still above the 150 mark.
It is. But it is what it is.
It's all been that chocolate.
Oh, shut up. It's been the same for 3 years, so I don't know what else
addiction.
to do.
So
it's only a little chocolate addiction.
Other than getting Amelia out of the house at 7 in the morning and not allowing her to eat anything, it was a pretty painless process.
Yeah. You can go to the clinic here and they get your blood drawn, and you don't need a doctor's
orders or prescription or anything. Right. Yeah, and we go to there's a lab right there at Santa Ynez. It's kind of by the Universidad de Cuenca. Mm-hmm. And that's where we go because it's walking distance from our house, and that's where my doctor said to go.
Yep.
And sometimes he has given me orders to go get my blood work done, and when that happens, they email him the results, and then I have to wait for him to email them to me. So when we went this time, I didn't even give him my doctor's information. I just asked him to email him. And they didn't email them, so we went back the next day and they had the results in an envelope waiting for us.
And that's no big deal. Mm-hmm. So it's really easy. You don't need an appointment, and you just know you'll get your results back in 24 hours. And they do take credit cards there, which is nice.
They did take credit cards.
So if you do want to get a more extensive panel, you can charge that.
Mm-hmm. Now we wanted to shift gears and talk about what inspired this video and why this is important. And the inspiration came from the nut wars between Jeff Nelson and Dr. Fuhrman. And Jeff Nelson posted a series of videos on nuts, and he's not anti-nut. He eats nuts. He says he loves nuts. He encourages people to eat nuts if you like nuts. And his whole point of this was to look at the science. Almost all of it's been funded by the nut industry. And so he went through the studies that they funded and basically dismantled them and showed how the methodologies were flawed and the results were kind of misrepresented. always noise. It's important because people like me who suffer from a genetic predisposition to high cholesterol need to know, are nuts do they promote longevity, or do they cause heart disease? And not everybody agrees on this. All the doctors seem to have a difference of opinion on nuts and seeds. So Fuhrman, he went on an interview with Plant-Based News and basically lost his mind. And there were parts of the video that his voice was so high, I'm pretty sure only dogs could hear him. And really, I lost quite a bit of respect for Fuhrman in that interview, because he kept accusing Nelson of some ulterior motive, and why is he so against nuts? He's anti-nut for some reason. And then if you go to Fuhrman's website, he sells nuts and nut butters on his website, and he's been promoting nuts and seeds even to heart disease patients for years. It's kind of one of his legacy things, saying nuts, or promote longevity, and that if you don't eat nuts, you're prematurely killing yourself. And Nelson was basically just saying the unbiased science doesn't really support this, and the science that does support it was all funded by the nut industry, and it was all set up to sell more nuts, not to discover the scientific truth about nuts. So
JP was very upset about this.
I was yelling at my phone
Yes,
while watching the videos.
It was very frustrating.
And watching Fuhrman's interview and reading Fuhrman's response post, and it's just very frustrating, because I don't care who's right. I really don't. I love nuts. I would eat a pound of nuts a day if I could.
That's a lot.
I would.
That would give you a whole nother issue, because they're very high in calories.
Yes, they are. But I don't care who's right. I don't have food addictions like most people, so if they're bad, I won't eat them. If they're good, I will eat them. But I need to know who is right, because they both can't be right. Fuhrman, in his diet plan, he suggests that you can eat 1 to 2 ounces per day of nuts. That's part of his diet program. He encourages people to eat 1 to 2 ounces per day. So 2 ounces of walnuts, 370 calories. That's like 20% of the calories I should be eating in a day. That's a lot of calories. I'm not even talking about the fat or the saturated fat, although it does have 370 calories and 3.4 grams of saturated fat in that many walnuts. So I know saturated fat. I'm extremely sensitive to saturated fat. I can eat a tiny amount and my cholesterol shoots up. So I don't know. Is it a little bit okay? Is it not okay? According to Fuhrman, it is. And he's accusing Nelson of having an ulterior motive. I think he actually has more to lose by changing his stance on this, because he's been advocating nuts and seeds for so long. Dr. Michael Greger, he recommends 30 grams per day, and he's also in the pro-nut camp. He's done lots of videos where he cites all the industry-funded studies talking about how great nuts are and how they improve longevity. So he suggests 2 tablespoons of nut butter per day, which is about 200 calories, which is about 10%, a little less than 10% of my day's calories for 2 tablespoons of a food. They are not going to fill me up. So I don't know. I mean, you like nuts.
I do.
That 200
but I
calories.
don't eat a lot of them.
That's a huge percentage of your 5 foot tall diet.
That is a big part for me. But I do eat. I like my toast with peanut butter.
Mm-hmm. So Dr. Esselstyn, he's kind of the expert on heart disease, and he's the one I've been following the most on this, because that's my issue. And Esselstyn says avoid nuts and seeds. He says that there's no amount of saturated fat that's good if you have heart disease, and it's probably a pretty good chance I have heart disease, and I'll explain that in a little bit more detail in a bit. And then Dr. Ornish says his diet says you can have 3 low-fat servings per day. Now that's all fat, not just nuts, not just fat from nuts. So your whole day you get 3 low-fat servings, that's it. 1 serving of nuts is 6 almonds, 1 walnut, 2 cashews, my favorite nut on this planet, 2.
I think I'd rather just cut them out completely than eat like
2
one
cashews.
walnut.
So that means if I wanted to use up all of my low fat for the day, I could have 6 cashews. 6. I can eat 6 cashews in 1 bite. So it's 9 pistachios and then 3 pecan halves. 3 halves of a pecan.
I do like how specific he is, though.
I know, but that puts it in perspective.
It does.
Ornish and Esselstyn are the experts on heart disease, and saturated fat increases cholesterol, and we know cholesterol causes heart disease. And despite what the dairy industry, the junk science they've pumped out since 2012, it's always caused heart disease, and it will continue to cause heart disease. All right, so why is this important? Back when I was 34, my business partner at the time and we went to get Keyman life insurance for our business because we were both critical to the function of the business, and if one of us died, the business would have gone out of business. So we went to get life insurance, and as part of that, we both had to get routine blood tests. He was 10 years older than me, and our premiums came back, and mine was twice as high as his.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I know. Yeah, well, you do now.
Yes, I do.
So my premium, 10 years younger, I was 34, he was 44. My premium was double. So obviously that sparked a question. I'm younger, I don't smoke. Neither of us smoked or drank. So why was mine so much higher, being that I was so much younger? Well, it came back, my cholesterol was 270 at 34, which is very, very high for a 34-year-old. And so I went to my doctor, and he put me on a low-fat Mediterranean diet with lean meat, no more than 2 eggs per week, fish, that kind of stuff, olive oil. And he told me, I needed to lose weight. So I lost about 10 pounds. That's all I needed to lose back then. And so I lost weight, I exercised, and my cholesterol went down a little bit. I don't even remember what it went down to, but it wasn't nearly enough. And my doctor put me on a statin. And he said, for some people, we just have a predisposition to high cholesterol, and a statin is the only way to treat it. He said, I have a marathon runner who has to take a statin because his cholesterol is too high. He didn't say anything about if you stop eating cholesterol or if you reduce your saturated fat, which is what causes high cholesterol, even more than dietary cholesterol. Saturated fat's worse, actually, than dietary cholesterol. He didn't say anything about that stuff. He didn't say,
American doctors don't typically talk about nutrition.
All he wanted to do was pull out his prescription pad. And that's what he did. And for 3 years, I took the regular dose of statin. And at the lowest my cholesterol ever got was 196 on a statin. And I was trying to eat healthy. I ate more meat than I should have because I didn't like vegetables that much back then. Till this one really introduced me to the deliciousness of vegetables.
Although it took us going plant-based
to really embrace it.
And I thought that you didn't like being on those statins.
Oh, I hated the statins. It caused me all kinds of muscle pain, muscle weakness, lethargy. I had all the side effects, as I usually do with the stupid drugs. If they have 10 side effects, I have 12. And I don't even read them. I don't want to know. I tell them, don't tell me. I don't want to know what the side effects are because
I don't want to put it in your head?
I don't want to put it in my head. And so I don't read the labels. I just say, okay, I'll take it. And I don't want to know what the side effects are. And then, then I always go back with, okay, doc, here's what's wrong. I have this, and this. And he's like, well, those are the side effects. And then usually they'll say, well, one of those we've never heard of before. And I say, well, that's not unusual. My mother is the same way. She has side effects to every medication, all of them. It sucks. So anyway, I hated being on the statin, and I stopped taking it after about 3 years. And then my cholesterol just slowly inched back up again. And the last time I had it tested before we went vegan, it was 258. That was the very last test. So then a year after being vegan, I had it tested, it was down to 238. And I thought for sure when I went to that test that it was going to be cured, like magic. Oh, my cholesterol is going to be like 100.
He was not happy.
I was so angry. God, I was mad. I'm like, I don't understand this. We haven't eaten any cholesterol in a year. And how is this? Why do I still have high cholesterol? And that's when I learned that saturated fat's actually worse for us than dietary cholesterol. And we were still eating oil and processed foods at the time that had saturated fat in them.
So we cut that out.
So that's kind of when we went whole food plant-based. A year and a half later, I had lost, 15, 20 pounds? I had lost about 15, 20 pounds after about a year and a half eating whole food plant-based. Went and got my blood tested again. And once again, I was excited. I'm like, it's going to be like 100. And I went and got it tested, and it was 225. 225 is the exact average number of total cholesterol for a typical heart disease patient. Most people don't realize it's that low. 1/3 of all heart disease patients have cholesterol, a total cholesterol between 150 and 200. So when they say in the States, you know, having low cholesterol doesn't prevent you from having heart disease, it's not true. We don't have low cholesterol. Our normal cholesterol is above what it should be. Anybody who has below 150 total cholesterol, you don't hear of heart disease. They don't have heart disease. So that's our goal, is to get it below 150. Right. But
I don't know how.
Nothing was working. So then after that test, I'm like, all right, I read Dr. Esselstyn's book, Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease, and I cut out as much of the saturated fat as I could. We stopped eating oil. I stopped eating nuts, avocados, chocolate. Anything else?
Did you cut out? You didn't cut out the flax and the chia seeds.
No, we didn't cut out flax and chia.
And we don't do that because we want the
ALA.
Yeah, the nutrients.
Yeah,
from
the
that.
omega-3s. So that's where we get our primary source of omega-3s.
Right, which is important.
We haven't cut those out. That may be the next thing. But anyway, so after a month of cutting out oil, avocado, chocolate, and nuts, my cholesterol went down to 188. In 1 month, that's how much it dropped. It went from 225 to 188. So that made me a firm believer that oil is just as bad as anything else for you. And we were eating a lot of avocados.
Every day. We ate an avocado every day.
Pretty much every day.
I guess we just didn't think about the fact that not only is it high in fat and calories, and it's also saturated fat.
Yeah, and the saturated fat, I'm just super sensitive to it.
Yeah.
So then we went on a vacation to the coast and we ate out a lot, and I came back, and the next time I got it tested, it had gone back up to 200, and I was really disappointed again. So then I started using amla powder, because Dr. Greger did a video they did a clinical trial showing that amla powder performed just as well as simvastatin, which is the exact statin that I took 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so this clinical trial that they did showed it worked just as well. In fact, it lowered a typical subject's cholesterol by 30%, just the amla powder with no other dietary changes. So I was hopeful that it would work for me. It didn't. If it's a bad side effect, I get it. If it's a good one, I don't. So my cholesterol on this last test that we just showed you that we went and got, my cholesterol came back at 195, still under 200. The doctor's fine with that. I'm not.
It's tough though, because we do eat out, and we try to cut out as much oil as we can, but we are also realistic, and we don't want to be so extreme that we don't ever eat out, or that we don't eat, a dessert or something. And maybe that's what you have to do. Notice I say you.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Although my cholesterol is at 170, I think. Mm-hmm. So it's a little higher. If I want to be down to 150, obviously I need to curtail that a bit.
Yep.
I refuse to accept that my chocolate could possibly be impacting that.
It's the only thing you eat that on a regular daily basis that has.
I don't eat that much. I don't believe you.
You don't eat nuts. You rarely eat nuts.
Blah,
we rarely eat
blah,
avocados.
Blah blah.
I bet if you cut out the chocolate, yours would go under 150.
Well, maybe at some point in my life I'll try that.
You're already going to outlive me by decades, so.
Oh, don't say that.
Amelia comes from
I'm not planning on pushing you off a cliff. Jeez.
Amelia comes from good stock. The women in her family just refuse to die.
What he's trying to say is they live a long life.
Just keep on going.
Yeah, we're like the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So back to the nut wars. As you can see, this really matters to me. People like me are the victims in these nut wars. We need to know. People like me need to know. What is right? Are we cutting years off our life like Fuhrman says, or are we adding years to our life like Esselstyn says? They both can't be right. So I want to know. Right now I'm trusting Esselstyn. He seems to be the most credible source on this, in my opinion. So that's who I'm going with on this. I disagree with Greger and Fuhrman, especially after Jeff Nelson dismantled the nut industry funded studies. And I
think that the problem is that for an average person, if you don't overeat nuts, or like you shouldn't overeat anything, that they're part of a healthy diet.
They are, but they're not
really
the superfood like Fuhrman likes to say, that he says they're a superfood, and I just don't believe that. I think they're a healthy food, and if you don't have issues with high cholesterol and a really strong family history of heart disease like I do, then eat your nuts and enjoy them, and think of people like me who love them and can't eat them. Just be thankful. Because a lot of people go on a plant-based diet like we've done, and their cholesterol plummets to 100 or below. The total cholesterol, not just LDL.
I know. It is amazing to me because I feel like we eat pretty healthy.
We do.
I know we're not perfect and we do eat out a lot, but I would have expected it to be a little lower.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It's disappointing. It's just disappointing. It's disappointing that it's something I have to always think about because I don't want to. My grandma had a stroke, had multiple strokes, and she laid in bed for years crying. She couldn't talk, she couldn't move, and I don't want to end up that way. To me, that's worse than having a massive heart attack and dropping dead. I would rather just drop dead instantly than live like my grandma did. It was awful.
I'm sorry I'm laughing right now. I'm just thinking, gosh, are we like Debbie Downers in this video?
Maybe a little bit, I guess, but I just don't want to. For me, it's not about living forever. It's about living better. And I want to live free of these medications and that I have all the side effects from taking. I don't want to have to take any of those medications. And I want to be healthy, active, as long as I'm alive.
Agreed.
And that's why we do this. We don't look at this as torture or sacrifice.
No, we love it.
Yeah, we love our food. I sometimes miss being able to eat out and not worry about it. And I miss not eating nuts and avocados and chocolate. But those are just things.
Right.
What I put in my mouth is not what makes me happy in this world.
Well said.
Except for chocolate for her. I'm pretty sure chocolate. If she had to choose between me and chocolate, I'm not sure I'd win.
I don't know. I think coffee would trump chocolate.
Really? So
yes.
we got coffee, chocolate, and JP.
Well, the Ecuador coffee is really good.
Actually, I forgot something. Coffee, chocolate, Alicia, and JP.
I think Alicia goes first.
Wow.
She's my baby.
Oh my goodness.
All right. I'm not a food addict.
No,
okay.
Just a chocolate addict.
Whatever.
All right, I think that's it for today. Let us know in the comments if you also struggle with high cholesterol eating a plant-based diet like we do, or if you're worried about this kind of stuff, or if you think we're nuts. Just be polite. Like we always ask, we all have differences of opinions. Please source your opinions and be civil.
Yes.
With your opinions. We try to be civil.
I'm curious about what people's thoughts are on this because honestly, cholesterol is something I really don't think a lot about.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like JP said, it's on his mind all the time. And then when you say it should be under 150, it's like, well, maybe I should take it a little more seriously. But I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I do. I guess I could cut out the chocolate, and then we would just have to cut out the flea and chax. The flax and chia seeds.
Flax and chia.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we could take an algae supplement
I guess
for the
I
omega-3.
just find it. We don't eat that much of it. That's the thing. You joke about how much chocolate I eat. I really don't eat that much. So I just can't believe that little amount, like a tablespoon a day, would make that big of a difference. But maybe it would. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really curious to hear what you guys all have to think about this, what your experiences are. So please share with us.
Yeah. Anyway, that's our story about high cholesterol and why we care so much about oil and all of those other things, because all of those things impact my cholesterol.
Yep, and it's important for our overall health regardless.
All right, veggie lovers, thank you so much for watching and listening to me rant about my cholesterol issue and the nut wars going on. Like I said, I don't care who's right. I just want to know what is right.
We may never know.
And we may never know. All right, that's it for today. Please remember to subscribe.
Ring that bell.
Ring the bell.
And thank you so much.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.
Ciao.
Ciao.